श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिनी। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी। जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा गोविंद श्री राधे। जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय, जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद। जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज जी की जय। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी माता जी।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्णा माता जी, धन्यवाद। So let's start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त श्रीराधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वां च कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, welcome you all to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam as part of the Bhakti Vaibhav session. So, we saw in our last session how Shukadev Goswami, while beginning to answer the excellent inquiries made by Maharaj Parikshit, Shukadev Goswami glorifies those inquiries by saying that Variyan Eshate Prashna, my dear Parikshit Maharaj, your Prashna, your inquiries, they are Variyan. And Srila Prabhupada translates Variyan as glorious. My dear king, your inquiries are glorious because they are meant for the upliftment and progress in spiritual life for all the people in general. Kruto loka hitam rupa atmavid sammata pumsam shotavyadishu yah paraha. And not only am I saying this, that these answers to these inquiries are beneficial for all classes of people, but Atmavid Sammata Pumsam, that many great transcendentalists have affirmed to this fact, have double confirmed this fact, Shotavyadishu Yah Paraha, that this particular subject matter, that means answers to inquiries that you have made, is the prime subject matter that is beneficial for all living beings, all the classes of human beings. And then Shukadev Goswami starts answering the question about don'ts first, that what a person should not hear about, chant, or remembers. And there he gives the definition for a materialist, that for a materialistic person, specifically the Grahamedis, there are thousands of topics for discussion, for hearing, chanting, and remembering, because such people are blind to the path of self-realization. Apashyatam atmatattvam graheshu grahamedinam. So for such materialistic householders, there are so many topics for discussions, for hearing, chanting, and remembering. And then he gives the qualities of such householders, how their days are spent in working hard to earn money for maintenance of themselves and their family members, and their nights are spent simply in sleeping and sexual indulgence. Kutumba Baranenava Diva Charte Haya Rajan Kutumba Baranenava, that thus their days and nights are constantly spent and their whole lifetime is wasted. And why? What is the basis of conviction of such materialistic householders in leading their lives in such a way? Because they think that all their family members, wife, children, close family members, relatives, etc., they would be able to protect them from the jaws of death. That is their firm faith. And Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami describes such soldiers on whom such materialistic householders depend as fallible soldiers. Deha patya kalatradishu atma sainyeva asatva api. Such type of sainya or soldiers or army is asatvapi, that means they are fallible, they can't be relied upon to protect oneself from death. Tesham pramatto nidhanam pashan api na pashyati. And being too attached to such fallible soldiers, a householder remains blind to the ultimate goal of life, although he sees, but he does not see the inevitable destruction. And then in the verse 5, we see Shukadev Goswami coming to Parikshit Maharaj's question about what should be the object of one's hearing, chanting, remembering, and worshipping. He says, Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari Shotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyasche Chata Bhayam. That whoever wants to gain abhayam, fearlessness in his pursuit, be it a person who is following the impersonalistic path of life, the path of jnana, or one who is following the path of mystic yoga system, who want to meditate upon the Lord in the form of Sarvatma, Paramatma, residing in everyone's heart, or even for devotees who want to engage in the service, personal service to the Lord. For all these types of transcendentalists, if they want to achieve abhayam, complete fearlessness, then they should focus their attention on Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari Shotavya Kirtitavyascha, on the Supreme Lord Hari, about whom one should hear about, one should chant about, and one should remember that Supreme Lord. So that is the do part that is answered by Shukadev Goswami. And then Shukadev Goswami proceeds to explain about this other transcendentalists, that unless and until they take to the path of bhakti, then only they can achieve the complete perfection in their endeavors. Whatever the respective path they are following, either the jnanis or even the yogis, unless and until they come to the stage of bhakti, and within specifically bhakti, their goal in the end should be Narayana Smriti. That means complete remembrance of Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna in each and every step of life. So that is the highest perfection for a human being, whether one is in the path, following the path of jnana or following the path of even Ashtanga Yoga. The ultimate goal should be constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So let us recite this verse. Okay, sure. So let me make few devotees as co-host. All right. Anybody would like to recite the verse? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam
Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam
Swadharma Parinishtaya
Dharma Parinishtaya
Janmalabha Parapumsam
Janmalabha Param Pumsam
Ante Narayana Smritihi.
Ante Narayana Smritihi.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So what all paths of transcendentalists that Shukadev Goswami is referring to? Those who are following the path of Sankhya system, that means the analytical study of the body and the spirit, analytical study of the matter and the spirit. Yoga Bhyam. Yoga Bhyam means those who are following the path of mystic yoga system, as well as those who are following Swadharma. Swadharma means occupational duty that is assigned as per the Varnashram institution. So for all these personalities, what they need to do? Janma labha parapumsam ante narayana smriti. That ultimately they need to achieve the stage of constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord. Only that path can be considered as leading to perfection. Mataji, please continue with the translation.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life.
Thank you, Mataji. Purport?
Purport. Sir, shall I read from?
Yes, complete purport.
Narayana is the transcendental personality of Godhead beyond the material creation. Everything that is created, sustained, and at the end annihilated is within the compass of the Mahat Tattva, that is material principle, and is known as the material world. The existence of Narayana or the personality of Godhead is not within the jurisdiction of this Mahat Tattva, and as such the name, form, attributes, etc. of Narayana are beyond the jurisdiction of the material world. By the speculation of empirical philosophy, which discerns matter from spirit, or by cultivation of mystic powers, which ultimately helps the performer to reach any planet of the universe or beyond the universe, or by discharge of religious duties, one can achieve the highest perfection, provided one is able to reach the stage of Narayana Smriti, or constant remembrance of the personality of Godhead. This is possible only by the association of a pure devotee who can give a finishing touch to the transcendental activities of all jnanis, yogis, or karmis in terms of the prescribed duties defined in the scriptures. There are many historical instances of the achievement of spiritual perfection, such as that of the Sankhya Rishi, or 9 celebrated Yogendras who attained perfection only after being situated in the devotional service of the Lord. None of the devotees of the Lord ever deviated from the path of devotional service by taking to other methods as adopted by jnanis or yogis. Everyone is anxious to achieve the highest perfection of his particular activity. And it is indicated herein that such perfection is Narayana Smriti, for which everyone must endeavor his best. In other words, life should be molded in such a manner that one is able to progressively remember the personality of God in every step of life. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Madam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So the last line of the purport is the punchline. Srila Prabhupada writes, in other words, life should be molded in such a manner that one is able to progressively remember the personality of Godhead in every step of life. If we search for this word molding one's life in Srila Prabhupada's writings, we would find so many references in Bhagavad Gita as well as in many purports in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada keeps on using this word molding one's life. In fact, there is a one particular word Srila Prabhupada uses for pure devotional service in his writing. Srila Prabhupada uses the word analoid devotional service, and I believe in one of his diaries or in Srila Prabhupada Leelamrut itself, there is an explanation. Where did Srila Prabhupada get this word analoid devotional service? Srila Prabhupada, when he used to reside in Sri Radha Madan Gopal temple near Keshighat in Vrindavan and write articles for Back to Godhead, edit, and then take to the printing press owned by Mr. Jain in Delhi, get it published, and then distribute those Back to Godhead magazines on the streets of Delhi. Srila Prabhupada, one of his regular route, there was one particular fabrication unit, and the exact name of this fabrication unit I don't recollect, but it was something like something alloys. And Srila Prabhupada, and then there was also use of the word analoid metal, and Srila Prabhupada like that phrase very much. That analoid, that means without any adulteration, without any mixture of any other metal, then that metal is called as a pure, or then that element is called as a pure. So there Srila Prabhupada then started using the word analoid devotional service in his own writings. So similarly, coming to this word mold, we see it mentioned in so many places, like say for example, some of these references we can see here. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport of 927, thus it is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstance. Everyone has to work for maintenance of his body and soul together, and Krishna recommends recommends herein that one should work for him. Similarly, he writes in 13:8 to 12 purports where he explains various items of knowledge. He says, if one can mold his family life in this way to develop Krishna consciousness following these 4 principles, then there is no need to change from family life to renounced life. And thus, there are other references like the Vedas give the right direction to people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back to home. And similarly, 1.5.36 purport, he writes, an expert devotee of the Lord can mold his life in such a way that while performing all kinds of duties, either for this or next life, he can constantly remember the Lord's name, fame, qualities, etc. And then there is a today's purport also where Prabhupada mentions life should be molded in such a manner that one is able to progressively remember the personality of Godhead at every step. So Coming back to this particular verse, Shukadev Goswami is explaining various paths that the transcendentalists undertake, namely the Sankhya yogis. Specifically from the purport, we understand that Shukadev Goswami is referring to the Gyanis, the path of empiric philosophers, that means the Gyanis. So either one is following the transcendental path of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, mystic powers means Ashtanga Yoga, or one is even following the Varnashram institution, just following one's own duties so as to perform dharma for artha and artha for kama, so on and so forth. But still, while we are following these paths, the goal of life should be like we can follow these paths, but still the pursuit of one's life should be Narayana Smriti. And what is the meaning of Ante? At the end of this path, that means at the point of reaching the culminations in these other paths, that means where bhakti is not the only method that a person is following, he is also following the path of empirical philosophical speculation, or he is also following the path of pursuing the mystic powers, or he is also following the path of varnashram perfection through the performance of varnashram institution duties. The culmination of all these paths is ante narayana smriti. But once one has realized what is the ultimate goal of life, then this is not just the goal of life, but the only goal of life without any diversion. Like Srila Prabhupada mentions, uh, by all these other methods, uh, one can achieve the highest perfection. How one can achieve? Provided this remains one's ultimate goal, Narayana Smriti, or the constant remembrance of Lord Krishna, Lord Hari. But this is possible only by the association of a pure devotee of the Lord. Let me come to the slide. Yeah. So there are so many references in Srila Prabhupada's writing, specifically where he's quoting this verse from Padma Puran. So I have taken this verse as such that Srila Prabhupada quotes, that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami quotes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Srila Prabhupada gives the purport that all other duties or all other advices or all other instructions that are recommended in the scriptures, they are subservient to these two specific principles. Out of that, first principle is to always remember Krishna, and second principle is to not forget him. So both essentially mean the same thing. Anybody would like to read through this verse and the purport? Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Mahesh Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
The highest perfection of human life, Narayana Smriti, to progressively remember the personality of Godhead in every step of life. Smartavya satatam Vishnu, Vismrtavyo na jatuchit, Sarve vidi nishedahasyur, Etayor eva kinkaraha. Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of these two principles. This verse is a quotation from Padma Puran. There are many regulative principles in the Shastras and directions given by the spiritual master. These regulative principles should act as servants of the basic principle, that is, one should always remember Krishna and never forget him. This is possible when one chants the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, one must strictly chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 24 hours daily. One may have other duties to perform under the direction of the spiritual master, but he must first abide by the spiritual master's order to chant a certain number of rounds. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we have recommended that the neophyte chant at least 16 rounds. This chanting of 16 rounds is absolutely necessary if one wants to remember Krishna and not forget him. Of all the regulative principles, the spiritual master's order to chant at least 16 rounds is most essential. One may sell books or enlist life members or render some other service, but these duties are not ordinary duties. These duties serve as an impetus for remembering Krishna. When one goes with a Sankirtana party or sells books, he naturally remembers that he is going to sell Krishna's books. In this way, he is remembering Krishna. When one goes to enlist a life member, he talks about Krishna and thereby remembers him. Smartavya satatam Vishnur vismratyo na jaduchit. The conclusion is that one must act in such a way that he will always remember Krishna, and one must refrain from doing things that make him forget Krishna. These two principles form the basic background of Krishna consciousness. It is taken from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, 22nd chapter, 113th verse. Hari Bol Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Srila Prabhupada ki
Ki
jai.
jai.
So in this purport of Srila Prabhupada, one statement of Prabhupada I really found very appealing. Srila Prabhupada states, in our Krishna consciousness movement, we have recommended that the neophyte chant at least 16 rounds. So that means sometimes we think that when we have chanted 16 rounds for the day, we are like done with our part. But as the purport suggests, that is the bare minimum that is required, that is recommended by our founder Acharya to be able to properly remember Krishna during our day, and as such during each and every day of our life. And that's why committing to follow this particular order of the spiritual master, the process is called initiation. And in plain English, initiation means the beginning. That means we have just started our spiritual life when we start following this particular instruction of our spiritual master. This is the bare minimum. We see in the times of Srila Prabhupada's own spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the normal order or instruction that was given to the devotees taking initiation from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was chanting 64 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And that was considered like a norm. Not only like a norm, what was the exception or what was the very special case? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that famous pastime, that he had his disciple publish one ad in few newspaper in Bengal, English as well as Bengali newspaper, where they advertise that whoever person is willing to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, constantly spend his day and night, we will take care of his lodging and boarding, his day-to-day needs of life. He doesn't have to worry about his sustenance. And devotees were very skeptical. They told Guru Maharaj, if we publish such an ad, so many people will come, and will it be possible for us to take good care of them in terms of providing food, clothing, shelter, and all their basic necessities? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was convinced. He said, don't worry. If they come, we would still take care, but only the most sincere would come. And very few people actually turned up. And out of those very few people who did turn up in response to that ad, there was one devotee who stayed back out of all those who joined, just with the attraction of getting one's food, clothing, and shelter managed very easily. People thought that is it so easy that we just chant Hare Krishna and you take care of us? There was only one devotee who stayed back. He was Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj in Vrindavan, and who was such a Raga Nuga Bhakta, such a lover of the holy name of the Lord, that day in and day out, Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj used to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, completely addicted to chanting and to kirtan. And he had such love for chanting Krishna's name, but at the same time such humility that in one of the book that my spiritual master wrote, when I was reading, he mentions that whenever Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj used to visit any Vaishnava function, any devotee program, then he used to sit at a very fag end of the audience and close his eyes and immerse himself in following the leader who was chanting, and hiding his identity, not even making his presence felt. But whenever devotees used to notice Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj has arrived in that congregation, immediately they used to call him to come to the stage or lead the kirtan. But his taste for chanting was such that as soon as he would take mridanga, close his eyes and immerse himself in chanting, whole audience, he could chant endlessly for so long, and everybody used to be mesmerized, being absorbed in the taste of the holy names, following such a great soul. So point is, this particular stage of always remembering Krishna and to never forget Krishna can be achieved. One of the solutions, one of the means for that stage, Srila Prabhupada gives in this particular purport is to constantly chant the holy name of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada mentions somewhere in the purport 24 hours. Where is that line? Yeah, in the first paragraph. This is possible when one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, one must strictly chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 24 hours daily. And to be honest, this is not difficult if we constantly practice, like even when we have finished 16 rounds while cooking, while driving, while cleaning, while doing any other household chores, we can choose to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra constantly. In fact, one time Srila Prabhupada, when he was invited for a radio interview, the studio was all set for the interview. But when Srila Prabhupada took his seat and when the mic was put to his kurta, the host of the program, he noticed some humming sound coming, and he felt that there is some sound leakage, maybe because of which the whole room is not fully soundproof. So he didn't want to proceed and he wanted to get it investigated, checked. And all the members of the unit, they tried to check each and everything. And finally, the host recognized that it was Srila Prabhupada murmuring the Hare Krishna Mahamantra even when the setup was being prepared. And then he came to understand the taste that Srila Prabhupada had in chanting the holy names of the Lord. So such a pure devotee of the Lord, they just don't restrict themselves to chanting the 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but even when they are doing any other activities, what to speak of any other activities, specifically in Mahabharata, in the episode where Arjuna had taken that vow to kill Jayadratha the next day by next sunset, and if he is not able to do that, he would himself uh, be consumed in the fire. Then Krishna was very anxious that my devotee has taken this vow, so I must do something so that my devotee remains protected. But Arjuna was completely calm and carefree. And when Arjuna was taking rest in his tent and Krishna entered, he himself found that even in sleep, Arjuna, each and every part of his body was still chanting Krishna's name. And there is also a famous verse which comes in Chaitanya Bhagavat, where Srila Haridas Thakur, when he was being beaten in 22 marketplaces, and the soldiers threatened him to kill him, and the Nawab himself threatened Haridas Thakur that he would be killed unless he stops chanting the holy names of the Lord. Srila Haridas Thakur very boldly declared that even if you cut my body into thousands of pieces, still each and every piece of that body, it would still continue to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and you cannot stop me from chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So here, coming back to the verse, Srila Prabhupada mentions that chanting of the constant chanting of the holy names of the Lord is one of the means we can deploy to be able to remember Lord Krishna always and to never forget him. And similarly, in the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, this particular stage of constant remembrance of Lord Krishna can only be possible when we associate ourselves in the association of such a pure devotee of the Lord, because only he is the one who, for different people coming from different background, even if they are transcendentalists, either they be karmis or jnanis or yogis, he can give finishing touches to them and bring them to the platform of pure devotional service. So that is possible only in the association of devotees. And the last part is very important. Everyone is anxious to achieve the highest perfection of his particular activity, and it is indicated herein that such perfection is Narayana Smriti, for which everyone must endeavor his best. So now we have a group activity. Let us see, we saw two methods that from Srila Prabhupada's purports of different verses. One is association of devotees who have got that taste in the holy names, and second is constant chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Let us try to explore few more tips for practical our day in and day out. What are practical tips we can employ to follow this principle to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna? So it has been some time, a while since we have had breakout room. So I would request all of you to think from your day-to-day practical life point of view and share the ideas what all we can implement to always remember Krishna in our life, especially for those of us who have got a very busy schedule because of office, household duties, etc. What all tips we can follow to always remember Krishna? And we don't need much longer time, maybe take 5 to 7 minutes, but we would request every single devotee should contribute, at least try to contribute 1 or 2 tips that we can follow to always remember Krishna. Is it clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, the do's, the task?
Yes, Prabhuji. One quick question, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, why maybe just trying to understand what is the meaning of progressively remember what Prabhupada has used in every step of life. Is it about the varnashram dharmas or is it about some?
Progressively means gradual building of that remembrance to constant remembrance. Progressively, gradually. Because if we see the people who are considered in this verse by Shukadev Goswami, they are not just devotees class. Even Karmit Srila Prabhupada writes. Where is that? Hang on now. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada mentions the transcendentalist, specifically the yogis and jnanis are part of transcendentalist, and one level below them are the karmis, the fruity workers. So for them, the constant remembrance of Krishna won't come all at once. They would have to gradually come to that stage. Is that all right, Prabhuji?
Oh, yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. So let us have around how many? 3 breakout rooms, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, and I do request each and every devotee to try and contribute, even if it is repetition or somebody else also shares, that is fine. But do spend some thought and try to contribute. So I'll make breakout rooms. 1 second. Okay, so right now it is 10:43. So maybe take time till 10:57 minutes, and then we come back to the main room. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Are we only 3 people in this group?
I don't know. I am actually traveling, so I won't be able to. There's a lot of noise around.
I think this group earlier there were 8 people. Now only 3 people are left. Why did everyone leave left? This is a breakout room, or are we? Well, we can see only 3 people, 3 of us.
Are we in the main room or are we in the breakout room?
I think so. We are in the main group only. We have not yet entered into the breakout room. I think we should leave and rejoin.
Is it?
Yeah. Because we are only 3 people. Well, it should
Okay.
be ideally 8 people. So let's leave and rejoin. Then maybe Prabhuji will rejoin us.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Again, we are 3 people only. They're joining
I
in the
think
same
we
group.
are 3 only, so we are left out or what?
I think so. We are left out because this is the main group we are joining. I have left and rejoined the group.
I
That
did
means
that, but I'm still there only. See, even if you leave and join, you remain there only.
you remain there. Yeah, same. I also left and rejoined. I think we were left
You
out.
are still there. Yeah.
Prabhuji is also not here.
No, they must be all in breakout room. So that means we are not selected to go to breakout room.
I think so. Mistakenly, it would have happened or some technical issue. Nothing like that. Any which ways, Prabhuji, we can discuss since now we have some few minutes of time left. So according to me, we can remember Krishna by at the time of starting our day when we get up. So when we get up, we can chant a prayer, and then that start of the day we can remember Krishna, and we should always feel grateful that we are actually part of as part of this devotee association. So I think while showing gratitude and thanking Krishna for everything will help us in remembering Krishna all the time. That these two things comes in my mind. You can share your thoughts, Prabhuji.
I think the best way to remember Krishna really is that you keep on uttering his name. Whatever you do, I mean, if you're doing your work with the hands and if you're doing your work with other limbs and other things, you can continue working and continue chanting. That's the best way to remember, as Srila Prabhupada used to do. Even if he is sitting, he would always say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So if you keep on chanting whenever you are free, or even if you are doing work which is not a mental work, it's only when you're doing a mental work, that's when you can't chant and do our work. So otherwise you can keep on chanting all the time. And second thing I found very easy is always try and recreate the form of Lord Krishna in front of your eyes. And then keep on looking at that form and describing that form. That's a very easy part. Then you can always remember Krishna all the time.
So
Hare
form means you
Krishna.
are saying keep a image of the photo or image of Lord. Okay.
Say for example, just say that how he smiles, how he
Ah,
glances, And then what kind of things he is wearing? He is wearing a pitambar, yellow garment. Then he is having a kostuba. He is having the mala or garlands, which are fresh and fragrant flowers all around him. He has flowers even in his ears, like that. I mean, sort of description of the
Got it.
Akhilamrut.
So you said two things, Prabhuji. Keep on chanting while doing the routine work. I've just noted. And second, you are saying image of the Lord should be kept in front or near to us so that we can always observe his,
Remember him really.
remember his qualities and his dressing and his
Visual, yeah, visualization.
visual. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So we have Ankit Prabhu also with us. So Ankit Prabhu, please share your thoughts.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I think best way to remember Krishna is to associate with his devotees. Because whatever we are doing, if we are not with the devotees, we are not in devotee association, the things will be diminished with the time. Whatever we are doing, whatever chanting and anything. Because that is why in our parampara as well, it is means the thing which is more focused is devotee association, even higher than liberation. तादेरे चरण से भक्त सनिवास जन्म जन्म हो ये विलास. Or Acharyas are seeking the devotee association because that will make them remember Krishna. Otherwise, whatever we are doing, that will diminish with time if devotee association is not there. So the route to remember Krishna is to have devotee association, because devotees will push you to remember Krishna anyhow. So that's my understanding. Maybe.
So you are saying as much as possible, we should have close connect with the devotees as much as possible, because
Yes,
when we
yes,
get
yes.
into our routine office or business,
Because-
then we don't get any devotee association there. But you are saying
No.
as much as possible, we should try to be
Yeah, as much
connected
as
with the
possible,
devotees.
like weekly program we can attend, or some
Right.
regular morning program, something like that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we have seen that Jad Bharata was at Bhava stage.
Yeah.
So he was very liberated person, but he was not having devotee association. So he did everything. He chanted, he did everything, but he was not having association. So he just means he
Right.
took some more time.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So
We have
that
Rajiv
is-
Prabhu. Rajiv Prabhu also have joined us. So Rajiv Prabhu, would you like to share your thoughts on how we can remember Krishna always?
Is he
while
also
doing our
stranded
routine?
like us?
Pardon, Prabhuji?
Is he also stranded like us?
Who, Prabhuji?
Chaitanya Prabhu is
Acha. I think so. We are not part of group. We are in the main group now.
Yeah,
already.
we are come back to the main group, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Ananta, Ajiteshwar, Prabhu, Prem Prakash, Prabhu, you didn't get added to breakout rooms?
No, Prabhuji. We were three people.
We are transcendental to the
Oh,
breakout
sorry
room.
for the hassle, Prabhuji.
So we kept, but we discussed within ourselves, Prabhuji.
Okay.
While being in the main group.
Yeah,
also.
we have made the points and Prabhuji will tell the points.
Okay.
Each one has contributed.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you. So
So Prabhuji, in our group, we discussed that we can always remember Krishna starting at the starting of the day by doing morning prayer while when we are getting up immediately. So we should have the habit. We should create a habit to do the morning prayer while we are getting up from the bed. First thing.
Okay.
Second, what we are saying that we should always
Can I
feel
request
gratitude.
one devotee to note it down, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, any one devotee volunteer, and then share it across the group afterwards. Anyone?
We have done that, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Anand Prabhuji has noted down
Sure.
6 points that we have discussed.
No, Dr. Prakash Prabhu, Radhika here. Pran Chaitanya Prabhu is not talking about your group, including our group. Everything you can summarize.
Yeah,
Okay.
across the groups. Yeah. So Ananta,
Okay.
Ajiteshwar, Prabhu, if you are comfortable, just add for
Yes.
other devotees also as they present.
Yes. So I have made points as per our group discussion. Other points I will also add into this, and I will post it on the group.
Sure. Thank you. Prabhu. Yes,
Second
Prabhu,
point,
please.
after morning prayer, Prabhuji, what we feel, we think that we should always feel gratitude towards whatever we have received from the will of the Lord. that way we will always be in connection with the Lord. So
Yes,
we should have
Prabhuji.
gratitude. Third, what we discussed is we should keep on chanting while even doing our routine work. So any task we are doing, even start of any task or end of, they should always remember Krishna by his chanting his name. So we can, like we say, Shri Ganesha while doing anything. Similarly, we should chant Lord Krishna's name while starting any office activity or any business, and also while doing, as you gave an example of Srila Prabhupada, that at the time of his lecture also he was humming the name of Lord Krishna. That should be best practice. Then third point, Prabhuji, fourth point, Prabhuji, was that any image or form of Lord should be kept near to our desk or near to our workplace, wherever we are. So we will always be able to see his, we will have his visual remembrance. So that will help us
Very
in
nice.
remembering the Krishna. Then last
A
point we discussed is
visualization of the Lord all the time.
yeah. And the last point, Prabhuji, what we discussed is association with devotees. So we should try as much as possible to have in connect with association, maybe in weekly program or temple program or online program. But as much as devotee association is possible, that will help us connecting with Lord. So these are the points we discussed, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful points, and so much to talk about on all these important points that you mentioned, but we'll just make sure that other devotees get chance also to present. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, who are the devotees? Maybe one or two devotees from. Okay. So one or two devotees from breakout room 1 who would be presenting. Hare
Mahesh
Krishna.
Prabhu will be
Prabhuji, which,
presenting from
yeah,
our
yeah,
group. I don't know
I
if
can
this is
present,
able to.
Prabhuji.
Okay, Mahesh. Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji, I think most of the devotees, I think in our group told that, whenever they get time, besides the early morning, chanting minimum 16 rounds, whenever they are getting time, like commuting, doing other chores of the day-to-day task, whatever role they are in, I think they chant extra rounds, and many devotees shared, I think they chant minimum 25 rounds, some shared, 21 rounds minimum every day. So I think fortunate to be connected to this kind of group. One of the Mataji, like Gunvati Mataji, also shared, whenever she, see the sun in the morning, for example, she remembers the Bhagavad Gita verse Rasoham, so how we can, looking at the different things around, how we can remember Krishna, that, maybe sun is the life eyes. And whenever she sees the insects, for example, around, so she will chant Hare Krishna to them so that, they get a chance also to, so that's another way, I think, very beautiful, she shared. Then another, I think, Lalita Mataji also shared, I think, very similar, and Murli Prabhu also shared, I think, similar one where they, besides, chanting the whatever number of rounds, 25 rounds or whatever, they also keep hearing whenever we get time, Prabhupada's kirtan, lectures, etc., whenever we get time, so that, we don't leave it blank, basically, whenever we get time, associate with the acharyas or devotees, in whatever way possible. And I think, yeah, I think what Sanjukta Mataji, I think she's a teacher, so she shared very beautiful thing that, earlier she was chanting, maybe during commuting and etc. But I think recently, 3 months back, she has taken a tally counter. So while walking from one class to another classroom, typically she also uses that opportunity of, idle time in between to also chant extra, and also maybe count them if possible. Then Anand Prada Mataji shared in our group that, she got inspired from one of the senior devotee in US, I think, and now she has got also the inspiration to inspire other devotees, young or old devotees, to, chant additional rounds. Yeah, I think these were the I think, sharing in our group, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mahesh Prabhu, and all the devotees in group 1 for so many wonderful points. Hare Krishna. Who are the devotees from group 2?
Hare
Anyone?
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
Yeah,
Mataji.
I'll be
Shama
present.
Gopika. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be presenting, representing my group. So everyone has given like wonderful points, Prabhu. Most of them are like repetition also because some points have been covered. So the first thing is like reading scriptures regularly. So we should have a regular schedule of Krishna conscious activities. Like we should be, regularly doing some activities. And we should have like a every day, like morning program is very essential, which Prabhupada has also always encouraged us to have morning program, which starts with Mangalarti and then the chanting, so that like whole day, all the activities that we do are dedicated to Krishna. And another very good thing which Divya Rukmini Mataji shared was like we can hear the lecture of Acharyas, and also we should preach, which is Kirtanam. So when we preach to others, then we come to know more, because while preaching, only reading, like we may not be covering all the points, but while preaching we have to take that additional effort. So yeah, whatever we learn, we try to preach to others. Yeah, and another thing is like Prabhu, we should keep ourselves busy in seva. So when we do the Krishna conscious activities, so whenever we are free, we should take some seva, which is like, even like different kinds of seva, so that we keep like preaching to others, and then we do like seva to the temples and all. So that one, that way we can remember Krishna always.
Thank
And yeah, others are like the same, like opulences of Krishna, where we remember the opulences of Krishna, like while drinking water, we realize that Krishna is the taste of water. And then one Prabhu shared that when we are doing some activity, like after every 15 minutes or half an hour, we take out like 1 minute or 2 minutes to chant Hare Krishna, so that we remember Krishna in between. And then we should remember that whatever occupation we are doing, we are actually doing it for Krishna and not for ourselves. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Shama Gopika Mataji. Anyone else from group 2? All points covered? All right. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you
Hare
all.
Krishna Prabhu, can I add one thing, Prabhu?
Yes, Divya Rukmini Mataji.
Prabhuji, I heard one of the lectures from one of the devotee. It's like before going to bed, it's we just, it's, I think it's Amrendra Prabhu. So he told we just write whatever things happen in our life, to just thank to the Lord, whatever, if it is good or bad, for a whatever it is, just write it as thank you Krishna, thank you Krishna, thank you Krishna. In that way we can remember what everything, and it's a way of gratitude, showing the gratitude towards Krishna. So I think it's a good thing. I heard that, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Is it
Thank you,
I don't know,
Mataji.
is it okay for this sloka? Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
And
Thank
also,
you,
Hare
Divya Rukmini.
Krishna.
and also,
Hare.
Prabhu, one more point was offering bhoga to Krishna. So whenever we offer, we need to prepare bhoga, we purchase the items and all those things. So during that time also we remember Krishna and offer bhoga every day to Krishna and have prasadam. Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. And related to this point, what you just mentioned, devotees having either deities or even pictures of lordships at home, it gives us an opportunity to engage in personal service to the Lord, and also increases our remembrance.
Yes,
So,
Prabhu. And yeah, I wanted to share like my personal, like we have deities, Radha Gopinath deities, and then like this week only, like on Tuesday, we had celebrated like first anniversary of Radha Gopinath, and then we invited everyone, all the devotees, and it was so blissful, like, the whole day was so blissful, like engaging in like doing Abhishek and then Kirtan and class, wonderful class by Devkinandan Prabhu. Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So now we'll have the last group devotees, breakout room 3. Who will be the devotees? Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Usha Mataji, you will be presenting.
Usha Kamat Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mataji. Yeah, thank you for making me the representative of the group. All the members contributed very actively. So we in addition to all the points that have already been discussed, we said that listening to Krishna's stories, kathas, all the incidents that, that Krishna was involved in will give us a lot of inspiration and strength. So listening to his stories all the time. One devotee also said that she keeps an alarm, and sets that for morning, afternoon, and night, and that reminds her to pay her obeisances and offer everything that she is going to do and that she has already done to Krishna. So it means that keeping Krishna as the focus or the center of everything that we have done or we are going to do. Then listening to Krishna's lectures, Prabhuji told us that he has downloaded two apps, the Vani and the Transcend app, and whenever he's not actively doing something for Krishna, he's listening through these two apps, and that gives him a lot of strength and hope, through the headphones. So whether he's traveling in the car or by metro, or he's just sitting down in the office and there is some time, then he listens to the lectures. Then the chanting box, when you have the chanting box and it keeps playing repetitively, that reminds us all the time of Krishna. Keeping the photos of Krishna everywhere that that we are visually involved in, helps us to keep our focus on Krishna. Again, whenever you are eating something, you're drinking something, that gives us an idea that this is all thanks to Krishna. So dedicating everything to Krishna will help us remember him all the time. Then thank Krishna for every small activity that has been successfully completed, like supposing we've crossed the road. It's a very busy road and we've crossed the road. We thank Krishna that we have crossed the road, without any major occurrences, So everything that is good that is happening to us, we thank Krishna for it. So show gratitude to Krishna all the time. One devotee dedicates a family time to Krishna, where the family comes together and they sing kirtans every day on a regular basis. They read something together every day, and before going to bed, they pray together. Even if it is a sentence or two, they pray to Krishna, and that's how they end their day. So there were a lot of inputs, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mataji, and all the group of devotees. So many practical tips for all of us. And as different devotees were speaking, I was recollecting related references like about constantly hearing about Lord Krishna. Once I had an opportunity to stay in ISKCON Toronto temple for almost like a month when I had just moved to that place, and knew their devotees kindly allowed me to stay in the temple. And there is one Brahmachari Prabhuji who is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Dharma Pran Prabhu. And physically speaking, Prabhuji's body has got certain limitations because Prabhuji had stroke in between, and because of which he has got half part of his body having challenges. But I've seen this one particular Prabhuji constantly in his room. Whenever you approach his room, you would start hearing Prabhupada's class day in and day night. From the time from the time Prabhuji wakes up from the sleep, even while getting ready and all, he would constantly keep one of lectures of Srila Prabhupada going in a round robin fashion. So many such great souls inspire us through their own example, and definitely the Vani of such a pure devotee of the Lord, it has great impact on all of us. And other points that all of you mentioned, like having gratitude. There is one whole class I have heard that don't let the mercy leak through. That means when we don't have gratitude, whatever we get in our life, we won't be able to retain it within our heart. It would simply, the mercy would get leaked through if we are not grateful enough. And constantly keeping Krishna in our vision, like in the form of his pictures in different rooms of the house, or even when we are driving, or a small frame or photo of Lord in our office, wherever we can view it easily, that also helps us in constant remembrance. So thank you all, Prabhujis, Matajis, for sharing such wonderful
Prabhu,
steps.
can I add, Radhika, Rasarangani,
Yes.
Radhika, sorry. Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
2-3 points can I add? Prabhu?
Yes,
That
yes,
will give this-
yes, Mataji.
Sure. Thank you so much. One thing which I thought and which I keep practicing, I'm sure many will do, but it's missed out, is gifts. We get confused what gift to buy for wedding or return gifts for someone who comes. We give a blouse which is never used. So based on the age, I either give Bhagavad Gita or that small little books, that small books of Prabhupada. So this is one. Second thing is fill in the blanks, Prabhu. In the sense, in an exam, when we don't know, we just fill randomly with something. So that way, I think filling with Krishna wherever we don't know. Classic is when I was not well and when I had a poor sight, a lot of visitors who came were very close circle, were not devotees, were non-devotees, other religion. So at that time, I was sort of playing the sickness cards, and I used it in favor of me only, because I said I'm not able to read. So everybody started reading whatever I wanted, right? So from Krishna book or Bhagavad Gita. And I had to take class for a long time. I was barely able to read. So many of the non-devotees gave me, and that's become a habit for them. So eventually, I also had Shravanam. They also had their Kirtanam. Now, the third point is areas which are very weak in terms of politics. I actually don't understand. But when I take a lecture or something for senior management, when there is politics, I involve the politics of Sanatana Dharma, because that's the only politics I know. Where it became a little bit of an issue here. And what is Sanatana Dharma originally? Because nobody seems to really understand the original Varnashrama Dharma. So these kind of things, and also my family is not that favorable. So whenever I drive fast or when I'm upset, when I say Krishna, Krishna, so my daughter also makes fun of me, telling that, hey, you drive fast and you call Krishna, is he going to come? But eventually everybody in the house managed to spell his name, right? Not directly, but indirectly or whatever. So that way I think I do. And the best of the things is most of the time I don't know what to do. So the easiest thing is to put stress on whomever wanted it. Like Dharmesh ma'am started the class, I think in 24 hours first time for Tamil team. And so I asked her, what should I do? She said, can you help me? So I became an admin. So that's how my journey started. And then Lalita Mataji said, why don't you tell some story for children? That was second. And MND Prabhu said, wherever he feels there is a backup, he would call me. And now you also. So when I don't know what to do, I just tell you, Prabhu, is there anything to do? And I'm sure somewhere, though not big, but the tiny little things you tell me. So, when I'm directionless, I think indirectly, you fill the blanks. So that way, grateful to teacher and all of them. So that is why, and especially you, I think you've been filling me a lot in terms of whenever I don't know what to do, I just tell you, Prabhu, is there anything I can do? Then you give me an idea. So I feel most of the time when our ideas dry out, we can look forward for seniors who can really help us to build in more. So these are the things I thought, I'll add to my history. And one minus point which I have, Prabhu, and if you can help me to fill that, is I have a habit of thanking everybody, my maid, my mom, everyone. But somehow, for some reason, for the past 3 years, not intentionally, but I'm unable to tell thanks to Krishna. I forget. So is there any way I can correct myself? If you can enlighten that.
Like one of you only mentioned during our discussion that before going to bed, we try to recollect at least, like many devotees I have heard mentioning this, either 3 or few points, like say for which we are thankful to Krishna for whatever has happened through the day. So all that Krishna has arranged for us through the day or through his representatives, through the devotees, we try to recollect few points and thank Krishna and devotees from within our heart before going to bed. So this is one thing I have found. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And
Yes,
just one thing to add. Once we are into deep devotion with Krishna, Krishna is automatic, Prabhuji. He's automatic.
It becomes like our second nature.
Yeah, nature. Every breath actually is with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mother. So let us proceed. 1 second. So once Shukadev Goswami has explained to Parikshit Maharaj that all these classes of transcendentalists, not just the transcendentalists, even the class below them, the karmis, they also can attain this Narayana Smriti by following their respective paths and the methods. And then in the subsequent verse, Shukadev Goswami mentions, he gives the credentials to what he has just mentioned by saying that many great personalities have perfected their lives by following this ultimate goal of Narayana Smriti, even when they were coming from different paths. They were not just coming from the path of devotional service, but even the other paths that Shukadev Goswami has quoted, namely Gyanis, Yogis, and even the Karmis. So let us recite this verse. Anyone, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Lalita Vinodini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Just a moment, I'll just expand this. 1 minute. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Prayena manoyo rajan.
Prayena manoyo rajan.
Nivritta vidise dataha.
Nivritta vidise dataha.
Nairgunyasta ramante sma.
Nairgunyastha ramante sma.
Gunanukatane haraha. Hare.
Gunanukatane hare. Translation.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions, take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord.
Thank you.
The
Thank
top-
you.
Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
Yeah, before we go through the purport,
Yes.
just contemplating bit on the translation. What is Shukadev Goswami saying? He's saying that even the topmost transcendentalists, my dear King Parikshit, those who are Nairgunya, that means they have transcended the three modes of three gunas, the three modes of material nature, even they take pleasure. They ramante sma. Ramante, they take pleasure in what? Guna anu kathane hare. That means they also take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. Do we find similarity in this verse in another verse that is quoted or that is described by Suta Goswami in first canto? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, which is that verse? Yes, Shama Gopika Mataji. You nodded. You recollect that verse? What was the verse? That where Suta Goswami mentions that even the transcendentalists who have nothing to do with anything in this material world, even they take pleasure.
Atma Ramasya Munaya.
Atma Ramasya Munaya.
Atma Ramasya Munayo Nirgranta api Urukrame.
Urukrumaha.
Kurvanti ahaytukim bhakti.
Urikrame. Kurvantahetukim bhaktim itam
Bhuta Guno Hari. That here Suta Goswami mentions that even such Atmarams, that means they are completely satisfied, they are completely self-sufficient. Such Atmaram, completely self-satisfied Munis, great personalities, Nirgrantha api Urukrame, they also take pleasure in performing the pure devotional service to Lord Urukrama. Kurvanti ahaytukim bhaktim itham bhuta guno hari. And they also take pleasure in describing the name, form, qualities, pastimes of Lord Hari. All different varieties of Atma Ramas, those who take pleasure in Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service. That means these are the personalities who are completely self-satisfied, who don't have any other desire in their heart, but they also desire to render devotional service to Lord Krishna. And they also desire to describe and hear about the transcendental qualities, pastimes of Lord Krishna. That means those transcendental name, form, qualities and pastimes of Lord Krishna, they are capable of attracting every person, including the Atmaram. Though Atmarams, they don't get attracted to anything else, Krishna can attract even those. So similar verse we see here in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Shukadev Goswami is also glorifying quality of Lord Krishna, that he is able to attract even the Nairgunya transcendentalists, those who have transcended the three modes of material nature. Yes, Mataji, purport?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Perfect. The topmost transcendentalist is a liberated soul and is therefore not within the purview of the regulative principles. A neophyte who is intended to be promoted to the spiritual plane is guided by the spiritual master under regulative principles. He may be compared to a patient who is treated by various restrictions under medical jurisdiction. Generally, liberated souls also take pleasure in describing the transcendental activities. As mentioned above, since Narayana, that is Hari, the personality of Godhead, is beyond the material creation, his form and attributes are not material. The topmost transcendentalists or the liberated souls realize him by advanced experience of transcendental knowledge, and therefore they take pleasure in the discussion of the transcendental qualities of the Lord's pastimes. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.9, the personality of Godhead declares that his appearance and activities are all divyam or transcendental. The common man who is under the spell of material energy takes it for granted that the Lord is like one of us, and therefore he refuses to accept the transcendental nature of the Lord's form, name, etc. The topmost transcendentalist is not interested in anything material and is taking interest in the matter of Lord's activities is definite proof that the Lord is not like one of us in the material world. In the Vedic literatures also, it is confirmed that the Supreme Lord is one, but that he is engaged in his transcendental pastimes in the company of his unalloyed devotees, and that simultaneously he is present as the super soul, as expansion of Baladeva in the heart of all living entities. Therefore, the highest perfection of transcendental realization is to take pleasure in hearing and describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and not in merging into his impersonal Brahman existence, for which the impersonalist monist aspires. Real transcendental pleasure is realized in the glorification of the transcendental Lord and not in the feeling of being situated in his impersonal feature. But there are also others who are not the topmost transcendentalists, but are in the lower status and who do not take pleasure in describing the transcendental activities of the Lord. Rather, they discuss such activities of the Lord formally with the aim of merging into his existence. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that how Lord Krishna is able to attract even those who are not attracted by anything else in this material world. So that means this is definitely a proof that Lord is not something like in the material world. He is completely transcendental and he is able to attract even the Atmarams, even the Nairgunyas. And so Shukadev Goswami is basically explaining to Maharaj Parikshit, Prayena Munayo Rajan. What is the meaning of Prayena? That means in general, like what is that verse? Nashta Praeshu Abhadreshu. That means Srila Prabhupada mentions almost everything that is inauspicious, that is not conducive to devotional service, is cleaned out when we regularly attend the classes on Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, Shukadev Goswami is explaining that in general, most of the transcendentalists, even when they are Nairgunya, they are attracted to Ramante in description about the transcendental name, form, qualities, pastimes of the Supreme Lord. But Prayana means there would be some exceptions, and Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, but there are few who are not taking pleasure, but who still engage in that activity with some ulterior motive. And what is that ulterior motive? They do the description of those activities in a formal manner in order to fulfill their own selfish motive of, say, for example, merging into Lord's existence, etc. So what Shukadev Goswami has described in the earlier verse, Prabhuji's Mataji's, that all different kinds of transcendentalists as well as karmis, they can target to achieve the platform of Narayana Smriti through the process of, by adding to their practice the process of devotional service. And then in the second verse, he has given a credential, he has given a reference of, in general, most of the transcendentalists, even when they are Nairgunya, they also get attracted to description of Lord Krishna. And now, in order to further add credibility to what he's saying, he's going to give a specific example of the personality, none other than his own self. How he himself, who was Shukadev Goswami earlier, Prabhuji's Mataji's? Who was he earlier before he became a pure devotee of the Lord?
Impersonal.
Monoist.
He was a monist.
Impersonal.
Yeah, he was a
Impersonal.
monist, he was an
Impersonal.
impersonalist. Although he was a liberated personality, but he was not on the platform of pure devotional service. So Shukadev Goswami is going to give his own example how he got attracted to the path of pure devotional service of the Lord just based on attraction that is present in Lord's name, form, qualities, pastime. So he's going to give his own example. Let us go through that.
Prabhuji, you had mentioned expansion of Baladeva. Super soul is the expansion of Baladeva. Paramatma is expansion of Baladeva, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes. So let me just see if I have that slide. Give me 1 minute. So basically from Krishna, first expansion is Lord Balaram. From Lord Balaram, then we have Lord Narayan, and then the first Chaturvyuha expansion. And then from Sankarshan of that first Chaturvyuha, we have the Balaram, first Chaturvyuha expansion, Lord Narayan, second Chaturvyuha expansion, and from Sankarshan, we have the Purush avatar coming, namely Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So Paramatma is nothing but the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And in the table which I just described orally, Balaram is the first expansion of Krishna, from whom all the expansions are coming. So that is how Paramatma is also coming from Balaram as the expansion.
One more thing, Prabhuji. It earlier mentioned 9 Yogendras. Who are the 9 Yogendras?
So there, Navayogendra's teachings to Maharaj Nimi will come in the subsequent canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto. Okay. So that we will read through.
Yeah.
And another example is given like the Chatush Kumaras. They were also on the Jnana platform earlier, before they became the pure devotees of the Lord.
Sanakadi Rishis.
Yeah, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, Sanat Kumar. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just wanted to know, like, when, at what point of time, Shukadeva Goswami was impersonalist? I mean, is there any story regarding that?
Yes, it will come in the subsequent.
Okay.
Yeah. So just give me 1 minute. I want to share something. Yeah. So, Prema, Priya, Jayashri Mataji, see, this is the chart I was talking about. Krishna, then Balaram, then Chaturvyuha, Narayan, second Chaturvyuha, and then Purush avatars. So that is how ultimately Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is also coming from Baladev.
Baladev, yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Let us proceed. So Shukadev Goswami describes his own example. Any devotee who wants to recite through Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji Jagadananda Murari Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Nama
Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Puranam
Puranam Brahma Samhitam. Yes, Mataji, continue. Adityavan. We can't hear you, Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji. Maybe some issue with Prabhuji's Mataji's mic. I will request one more devotee.
Aditavan Dwaparada
Aditavan Dwaparada. Yes, last line. Pitur Dvaipayanat Aham.
Hare Krishna, can you hear us?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Now we can hear.
Can you hear, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. Maybe you can recite it once more.
Hare Krishna.
All right. Yes, Mataji. Just go ahead with the translation.
At the end of Dwapara Yuga, I studied this great document of his successors named Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to all the Vedas from my father, Vaibhav Vyasadeva.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, Shukadev Goswami is giving his own case study. Like earlier we saw Narad Muni giving case study of his own earlier past life to Srila Vyasadeva to explain the importance of association of Mahabhagavatas and service to Mahabhagavatas, the Mahat Seva. So similarly, Shukadev Goswami is explaining how his own life got transformed, where he got attracted to studying Srimad Bhagavatam from his father. Purport, Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji, purport. Mataji, your voice is not clear. Can you hold mic? Or
The statement made by Srila Sukadeva Goswami that the topmost transcendentalist who is beyond the jurisdiction of regulations and restrictions mainly takes to the task of hearing about and glorifying the personality of Godhead is glorified by his personal example, Sukadeva Goswami. Being a recognized liberated soul and the topmost transcendentalist was accepted by all the topmost sages present in the meeting during the last 7 days of Maharaj Parikshit. He cites from the example of his life that he himself was attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord, and he studied Srimad Bhagavatam from his great father, Sri Vaibhav Vyasadeva.
continue.
Srimad Bhagavatam, or for that matter, any other scientific literature cannot be studied at home by one's own intellectual capacity. Medical books of anatomy or physiology are available in the market, but no one can become a qualified medical practitioner simply by reading such books at home. One has to be admitted to the medical college and study the book under the guidance of learned professors. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam, the postgraduate study of the science of Godhead, can only be done by studying it at the feet of a realized soul like Srila Vyasadeva. Although Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul from the very day of his birth, he still had to take lessons of the Srimad Bhagavatam from his great father Vyasadeva, who compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam under the instruction of another great soul, Sri Narada Muni. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed a learned Brahmana to study Srimad Bhagavatam from a personal Bhagavata. Srimad Bhagavatam is based on the transcendental name, form, attributes, pastime, entourage, and variegatedness of the Supreme Person. And it is spoken by the incarnation of the personality of Godhead, Srila Vyasadeva. Pastimes of the Lord are executed in cooperation with his pure devotees. And consequently, historical incidences are mentioned in this great literature because they are related to Krishna. It is called Brahma Samhitam because it is the sound representative of Lord Krishna, like the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the sound incarnation of the Lord because it is spoken by the Supreme Lord. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound representative of the Lord because it was spoken by the incarnation of the Lord about the activities of the Lord. As stated in the beginning of this book, it is the essence of the Vedic desire tree and the natural commentation on the Brahma Sutra, the topmost philosophical thesis of the subject matter of Brahman. Vyasadeva appeared at the end of Dwapara Yuga as the son of Saraswati, and therefore the word Dwapara Adav, or the beginning of Dwapara Yuga, in this context is just prior to the beginning of the Kali Yuga. The logic of this statement, according to Sri Jiva Goswami, that of calling the upper portion of the tree the beginning. The root of the tree is the beginning of the tree, but in common knowledge, the upper portion of the tree is first seen. In that way, the end of the tree is accepted as the beginning. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here it is mentioned Dwapara Adav, that Shukadev Goswami is explaining. Hare Krishna. All the co-hosts, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, just take care of background sound, please. So here it is mentioned Dwapara Adav. Shukadev Goswami, he developed interest in studying Srimad Bhagavatam under the guidance of Srila Vyasadeva, Dwapara Adav, at the beginning, but this actually means it is the end of Dwapara Yuga when Shukadev Goswami developed this particular interest. And why it is the end of Dwapar Yuga? Because the explanation of our acharyas, they mention that sometime when a tree is to be described, the top of the tree is described as beginning. See the tree from beginning to the end, that means from top to the bottom. But is the top the beginning? No, the roots of the tree are beginning. So similarly, although it is mentioned as Dwapar Adav, in essence based on the commentaries of our acharyas, we understand it is at the end of Dwapar Yuga when this incident happened. Now, second is what are the exact details or context of Shukadev Goswami being on a Gyani platform and being attracted to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. So although it is not mentioned here, we do see it in other portions of Srimad Bhagavatam that Shukadev Goswami, for how long he was in his mother's womb? Prabhuji's Mataji's?
16 years.
16 years. And he was completely a liberated person. That means he was completely dedicated and committed to being on the Brahman platform. And as soon as he came out of the mother's womb as a 16-year-old, although he was born, he was immediately 16-year-old because of staying in his mother's womb for so long. He left home, and in the first canto we see that he started walking out and Vyasadeva ran behind him crying, "My dear son," but there was no one to respond except for the trees and all that. But subsequently, it is also mentioned that Vyasadeva, he sent some of his disciples and asked them to chant few specific verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, and specifically the verse that attracted Shukadev Goswami's heart towards the topics of Lord Krishna was Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kutam. So that particular verse maybe we can see quickly. Which comes in 3:2:23. So I don't know whether in this verse purport Srila Prabhupada does mention about Shukadev Goswami, but we do see in other classes of Srila Prabhupada on this particular verse that this particular explanation of Lord Krishna's magnanimity and his magnanimous heart, where he granted liberation even to a she demon like Putana who came with the intention of killing child Krishna. But even to her, Lord Krishna granted the highest possible destination. So this particular quality of Lord Krishna, it attracted Shukadev Goswami for towards hearing and learning about him more and more. And then he came back to Srila Vyasadeva and learnt Srimad Bhagavatam from him at the end of Dwapar Yuga, before the beginning of Kali Yuga, as per the sequence that is mentioned here. So to answer your question, Shama Gopika Mataji, exactly more details in this particular section we don't find, but these are definitely described in other sections of Bhagavatam. But he briefly gives reference to this particular incident.
Yes, Prabhu. Actually, when I read about Shukadev Goswami, in the previous life was actually Radha Rani's parrot, right?
Yes, eternal.
Yeah, so I was wondering, like, when he was like impersonalist, because
Yeah,
being Radharani's parrot, he cannot be impersonalist, right? In that case.
Right. So all these, see, if all these examples of great personalities, either you consider Narad Muni, Shukadev Goswami, they are Nitya Siddhas, they are ever liberated. But Srila Prabhupada explained that even some of these Nitya Siddhas, they have had their history, right? So like we saw for Narad Muni, his life as a Upabharana is described by himself in 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But does it make him any lesser of a perfect being? Not at all. He is at a perfected being platform. Just that Prabhupada mentions that he is a combination of both sadhana siddha as well as krupa siddhas. That means he did get the mercy of the Bhakti Vedantas, but he did also himself follow the process that was taught by them to reach that particular platform. So similarly, Shukadev Goswami, he is a perfected being, but in terms of history, how he achieved that particular platform, there is a history that is given as well. Okay. So of course, that doesn't make their position anything less, but Bhagavatam gives us all the aspects, basically, whatever information is available and relevant. In fact, some of these informations have been given by they themselves, like Narad Muni's history has been given by he himself in 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he being the Upabharana Gandharva, and how he fell down from that position to being the son of a maid servant. That is explained by him.
Okay.
Okay. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we proceed. Yeah. So now, after giving credentials or case studies about different classes of transcendentalists, that means who are below the platform of pure devotional service, they also perfecting their lives and being attracted to the name, form, quality, pastime, transcendental description of the Supreme Lord, and mentioning in brief his own case study, Shukadev Goswami now glorifies Maharaj Parikshit. That my dear Maharaj Parikshit, he refers to him as, what is the word that is used? Paristhitopi Nairgunya Uttama Shloka Leelaya Grahita Cheta Rajarshe Akhyanam Yat Adhitavan. 1 second. Yeah, so that pastime is still continuing. In the next verse, he glorifies Maharaj Parikshit position as Mahapaurushiko Bhavan. So we'll come to that verse. Let us cover this verse, text 9.
In this, he addresses as Rajarshi, isn't it?
Yeah, Rajarshi, but the glorification that I was referring to was specifically this word, Mahapaurushiko Bhavan, that such devotee of the Lord who is the devotee of Mahapurusha, Lord Krishna. So we'll come to that in a while. Text 9. Murli Prabhu, you want to recite, Prabhuji, or read? Murli Kari, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can.
Hare Krishna.
Shall I start with the shloka, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Parim Nishito Api Nair Gunya.
Parinishito to api nairgunya
Uttama Shloka Leelaya.
Uttama Shloka
Leelaya
Grihita Cheta Rajarshe.
Grihita
Cheta Rajarshe
Akhyanamam Yad Adhitavan.
Akhyanam
Yad
Yadaditavan.
Translation?
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in trance states, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, which is described by the enlightened verse.
Purport?
The absolute truth is realized at the first instance as impersonal Brahman by the philosophical speculation, and later as the super soul by further progress of transcendental knowledge. But if by the grace of the Lord an impersonalist is enlightened by the superior statements of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is also converted into a transcendentalist devotee of personality of God. With poor fund of knowledge, we cannot adjust to the idea of personality of absolute truth. Therefore, the personal activities of Lord are deplored by the less intelligent impersonalists. But reasons and arguments, together with the transcendental process of approaching the absolute truth, help even the staunch impersonalists to become attracted by the personal activities of the Lord. A person like Sukadeva Goswami cannot be attracted by any mundane activity. But when such a devotee is convinced by a superior method, he is certainly attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord. The Lord is transcendental, as are his activities. He is neither inactive nor impersonal.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So here we see that transcendentalists, like say for example Gyanis or Yogis, even if when compared to the pure devotees, they may be considered on a platform that is lower than pure devotional service, but still they are much superior to the mundane activities. They are not attracted to mundane activities, even when they are on a Jnani or Yogi platform. So here it is explained that if by the grace of the Lord, such an impersonalist is enlightened by the superior statements of Srimad Bhagavatam, like it happened in the case of Shukadev Goswami, he is also converted into transcendental devotee of the personality of Godhead. So this can only happen by the mercy of the Lord. Or in case of four Kumaras, for which the example was mentioned in the earlier purport. So they were also on the platform of being Gyanis, but they got attracted because of the smell of the tulsi leaf that was offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, and they also became the great devotees. So all these personalities, they are already transcendentalist. But transcendentalist means they can either be on the platform of being a Jnani, being a yogi, or being a bhakta. And in this case, because they were still not on the platform of pure devotional service, they were attracted to this by the mercy of the Lord. So don't get confused. Karmis are totally different class. They are not considered as transcendentalists, but Jnanis, yogis, and bhaktas, they are considered as transcendentalist. They are at least following the path of supreme absolute truth through different methods. So now we come to the second last verse that we have planned for today, text 10, where Shukadev Goswami, he glorifies Maharaj Parikshit as Mahapaurushiko Bhavan, such a great transcendentalist devotee of Lord Krishna. Let me see. Other devotees also, we request keep your hands raised if you want to recite. Prabhuji's, Mataji's, these verses are very purifying. Even if we can't recite perfectly, that is fine. Premapriya Mataji, did you recite earlier? You want to recite?
No, Prabhuji. I'll recite now. May I recite now? Yeah.
Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tadaham te abhidasyami.
Aham abhidasyami.
Mahapaurishiko Bhavan.
Mahapaurushiko Bhavan.
Yasya Shraddha Dhatam Ashu.
Yasya Shraddhatam Ashu.
Yan Mukunde Mati Sati.
Jnanamukunde Mate Sati.
Translation?
Translation, yeah. Translation, you have to slightly, yeah. Translation, the very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you because you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation.
Thank you. So before we go to purport, the specific word that Shukadev Goswami uses here, Yasya Shraddha Dhatam Asu, that even to such Mahapaurushika Bhakta like Parikshit Maharaj, this hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, it can present Shraddha, it can increase or make one faith more firm in the Supreme Lord. One achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord if we properly, with full attention and respect, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the giver of salvation. Purport? Yes,
Purport? Srimad Bhagavatam is recognized Vedic wisdom, and a system of receiving Vedic knowledge is called Avaroha Pantha, or the process of receiving transcendental knowledge through bona fide disciplic succession. For advancement of material knowledge, there is a need for personal ability and researching aptitude. But in the case of spiritual knowledge, all progress depends more or less on the mercy of the spiritual master. The spiritual master must be satisfied with the disciple. Only then is knowledge automatically manifest before the student of spiritual science.
Yes, thank you. So we'll take a pause here. Srila Prabhupada mentions this particular method of receiving transcendental knowledge as Avaroha Marga, Avaroha Pantha. That means it is a descending process. That means the capturing of the transcendental knowledge, it is not just dependent on the capacity of the student in terms of his intellectual ability, etc. It is specifically mentioned, it is dependent on the pleasure, the satisfaction of the spiritual master. If the spiritual master is satisfied with the disciple, only in that case, automatically, the knowledge will become automatically manifest before the student of spiritual science, which is the verse Prabhuji's Mataji Srila Prabhupada quotes many times in his purport related to this satisfaction of the spiritual master and understanding of the Vedic imports.
Tadviti pranipaten, Prabhu.
Yes. This one that Srila Prabhupada quotes few times. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru. Where is that verse here? Yeah. Tasyete katita hi artha prakashante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of the Vedic literatures, Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. That means the spiritual knowledge can, of course, what Prabhuji mentioned is also true, that which one you mentioned, Prabhuji? 434?
Yes, Prabhuji. Tadviti pranipaten
Tadvidi
pariprashnen
pranipatena
sevaya.
pariprashnena sevaya. Yes. So by sincerely rendering service to the spiritual master and satisfaction of that spiritual master, it is the only success by which, it is the only way by which we can receive the spiritual knowledge. Our own material competencies alone cannot help us receive transcendental knowledge. We see so many so-called material scholars like who have done PhDs in Goswami's writings, etc. But what are their personal lives? They still smoke and try to preach the Goswami's teachings, which is not going to be feasible because that knowledge will always remain transcendental knowledge in the Western universities, etc. But here it is mentioned this path of gaining spiritual knowledge as avaroha pantha. That means it is a descending process. So then the question might arise, does it mean that there is no proactiveness or there is no task to be done on the side of the student? Not at all. So as Prabhuji just mentioned rightly, the disciple would receive such teachings not based on the intellectual platform, but by submissive inquiries and service attitude. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. And then there is also one mention, where is that? Yeah, here Prabhupada mentions that this process of transcendental knowledge, gaining transcendental knowledge from spiritual master to the disciple, it is not like some of the magical feats which were mentioned by some of the very prominent impersonalistic school of the modern times. We don't want to take their name, but they are very famous and well known across India. The impersonalistic school originating from Bengal, Kolkata. So Srila Prabhupada is specifically referring to that, whereby the spiritual master acts like a magician and injects spiritual knowledge into his disciples. So there is a specific episode of this impersonalistic guru who started crying, saying to his disciple that now whatever my transcendental knowledge that I had, I have given you everything, and because of that now I am left with nothing on my own. So Srila Prabhupada specifically refers to that in the purport by saying it is not the proper way as recommended in the scriptures, and it is not how it happens. It happens only through the process of submissive hearing and rendering of service to spiritual master. So Mataji, you can start reading from here. A devotee of Lord Krishna is he.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
A devotee of Lord Krishna is he who believes sincerely that by becoming a devotee of the Lord, one becomes fully equipped with everything spiritual. This teaching is imparted by the Lord himself in the pages of Bhagavad Gita, in which it is clearly described that the Lord Sri Krishna is everything, and that to surrender unto him solely and wholly makes one the most perfectly pious man. That this unflinching faith in Lord Krishna prepares one to become a student of Srimad Bhagavatam, and one who hears Srimad Bhagavatam from a devotee like Shukadeva Goswami is sure to attain salvation at the end, as Maharaja Pariksit did. The
Thank you.
professional, yeah.
Yeah, so here in the subsequent part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada is specifically quoting few verses from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which predict the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the word that is used in this verse is Mahapaurushika, to refer to Parikshit Maharaj's stature as a very exalted devotee. So Mahapaurushika means that person who is the devotee of Mahapurusha, and Mahapurusha is referring to this particular verses that Srila Prabhupada quotes from the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these verses describing his appearance, they refer to him as Vande Mahapurushate Charanara Vindam, and you can refer to the meaning of these verses later on. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is being referred to as the Mahapurusha, and the devotee of such Mahapurusha, Supreme Lord, is Parikshit Maharaj, Mahapaurushika Bhakta. So you can start from here, Mataji. One who deserves to approach on the right. You're on mute, Prema Priya Mataji.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Yeah.
One who deserves to approach the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is called the Mahapaurushika. Anyone who hears Srimad Bhagavatam attentively from its bona fide reciter is sure to become a sincere devotee of the Lord, who is able to award liberation. There was none so attentive as Maharaja Parikshit in the matter of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and there was none so qualified as Shukadeva Goswami to recite the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, anyone who follows in the footsteps of either the ideal reciter or the ideal hearer, Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaja Parikshit respectively, will undoubtedly attain salvation like them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
So now, after briefly answering the questions by Maharaj Parikshit in terms of what is the path of perfection, what is the way of perfection for people in general, specifically for a person about to die, and what should not be heard, chanted, remembered, worship, what should be heard, chanted, remembered, and worship. Now, glorifying the process of transcendental devotional service to the Supreme Lord and the process of hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. Specifically, Shukadev Goswami gives his conclusion in the last verse in this particular section. Okay, so amongst all these four things, hearing, what is to be heard, what is to be chanted, what is to be remembered, and what is to be worshipped, which particular process is the topmost according to Shukadev Goswami? He gives his conclusion to Maharaj Parikshit. So we would conclude our discussion with this verse. Shama Gopika Mataji, you want to recite this?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
एतन्निर्विद्यमानानाम्
Etanirvidyamanaam
इच्छतामकुतो भयम्
Ichchatakuto
Akuto
bhayam
Bhayam
योगिनां नृपन् निर्णीतं
Yoginam Nripanirnitam
हरेर्नामानुकीर्तनम्
Hare
Nirnamanukirtanam.
Translation.
Translation. O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge.
Thank you, Madhaj. So before we go through the purport, Shukadev Goswami is giving his verdict in terms of what is the topmost amongst all these processes: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping. Harer Nama Anukirtanam. So this word Anu, we have seen it quite a few places earlier. When Narada Muni is analyzing critically the cause of discontent, dissatisfaction within the heart of Vyasadev, he mentions that what was the Harer Nama Anukirtanam, what was the exact word? Nama Anuvartitam. That he mentions that you have not repeatedly glorified the pure devotional service to Supreme Lord. So Anu, one meaning of Anu means repeated. Another meaning of Anu we have seen in Nectar of Devotion. Anushilanam. What does Anushilanam means? Prabhuji's, Matajis, anybody recollects in Bhakti Shastri? What is that verse?
Following Prabhuji.
Follow.
Yeah, following is correct, half correct. Then following what? Following the path shown by
Spiritual master.
previous devotees, predecessor acharyas, previous devotees. So the three significances of this particular word Anu, I've just put it here. 1 second, let me open it. So Anu means repeated glorification. We saw that as the first meaning. Second is Anushilanam, which means filled with, that means favorable devotional service. In that NOD verse we see Krishna Anushilanam. What is the beginning of that verse, Prabhuji's, Matajis? The definition of pure devotional service? Anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulena Krishna anushilanam bhaktir uttama. So that is the pure devotional service where we are rendering service to Krishna in a favorable manner, filled with devotion. And third is what Mataji just mentioned, which is following the footsteps of predecessor acharyas and devotees. So this particular Anu Kirtanam, following this criteria, is what Shukadev Goswami is recommending to Maharaj Parikshit as the ultimate path of success, ultimate way to success. And this is his conclusion. For all types of persons, who all types of persons he mentions? Etan nirvidyamanana. That means those who are either completely free of all desires, or those who are ichchatam. That means those who are full of the material desires, those who are desirous of all sorts of material enjoyment. Akuto bhayam yogina. And even those who are completely self-satisfied. For all these classes of people, Hari Nama Anukirtanam is what can lead to ultimate success. So one point that comes in the subsequent, you can read through this purport. This is excellent purport, bit long, but in the subsequent part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions the 10 offenses towards chanting of the holy names of the Lord, and which all of us, we recite in the morning, and all the devotees should know, so you can read through. But then the main point arises, as such, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Shukadev Goswami has finished his answer to the questions that were posed by Maharaj Parikshit. And ideally, based on this verse, the question to all of you, what should be Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ideally, after this particular verse, what logically do you think Shukadev Goswami should have done for Maharaj Parikshit? What has he mentioned as the topmost perfection of human life? What activity to be performed?
Chanting.
Chanting of the holy names. Then what he should have left remaining, whatever, 6.5 days for to Shukadev Goswami, sorry, to Maharaj Parikshit?
Chanting.
Allow to chant.
Yeah, ask him to chant for the remaining 6.5 days, and he was done with his part. But what did he actually do?
He continued glorifying the Lord.
Yes, he continued glorifying the Lord. That means, see, Kirtanam doesn't just mean chanting, it also means description of the name, form, qualities, pastimes, glorification of the Lord. So he himself kept on doing Anukirtanam, and he made Maharaj Parikshit hear him for all part. So now we will try to see the conclusion of today's discussion. Why did Shukadev Goswami, after declaring that Anukirtanam is the topmost path to success for all types of living being, whether one is a materialist, whether one is completely free from material desires, or even one is a completely self-satisfied person, he should follow Anukirtanam. But he himself followed that Anukirtanam and made Maharaj Parikshit hear him out for 7 days. Why he did that? Any thoughts, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? As such, the answers to Maharaj Parikshit's questions are concluded here. So if Shukadev Goswami would have wanted, he could have concluded here itself.
He also
But-
wanted to himself get emancipated.
Yeah, but obviously he would prioritize Maharaj Parikshit. He had limited time, Mataji.
But
See,
Maharaj Parikshit also had lot of inquisitiveness to know more and more from. I think he was
correct.
when he
So-
was describing, he was asking more and more questions. So that led to, I think, the 7 days.
So-
Further 7 days, whatever he explained.
Yes, so that is one of the reasons for sure that the inquisitiveness and eagerness of Maharaj Parikshit to hear more about Lord Krishna that led to Shukadev Goswami further explaining about all these Anukirtanam. Okay, that was one of the reasons. What Hare Krishna? Yes, Mataji.
This whole episode is planned by Lord Krishna to instruct Srimad Bhagavatam to his pure devotee by his one more pure devotee, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In the purport, it is mentioned that one should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord after hearing it from authorities. This means that hearing from the authorities is the first essential. Hearing of the holy name gradually promotes one to the stage of hearing about his form, his attributes, his pastimes, and so on, and thus the necessity of chanting his glories develops successively.
Yes, so you're quite close to that particular point. This is the basically crux from the purport. What can we conclude from this? Why did Shukadev Goswami continue with his glorification?
Because Maharaj Parikshit asked second question also, I think, the earlier, how to continuously remember, worship,
Yeah, so what to continuously hear, remember, hear, chant, remember, worship, that has been answered. Okay, like
For the general public.
For the general public.
General public, Prabhuji, to know everything about Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes, definitely. That purpose also got fulfilled, but mainly because of what Mataji mentioned and what is also mentioned in this, to have that chanting of the holy name by Maharaj Parikshit, even for a small duration, but with Shraddha. What is that word that is used? Was it in this verse or earlier? That hearing from such great personalities, once Shraddha would develop, and chanting with that Shraddha, with that faith, it would have immense benefit. So definitely Shukadev Goswami, he did want to give chance to Maharaj Parikshit to chant and remember Krishna, but that chanting and remembrance of the Lord would be much more potent if that is done with complete faith and development of that faith. He continued this process of Anukirtanam and made Maharaj Parikshit here for the remaining 6.5 days. And as such, Shukadev Goswami did not stay at that particular place when Maharaj Parikshit was consumed in the flames by Takshaka bird. It is Bhagavatam mentions that even before that moment came, Shukadev Goswami proceeded in his journey after the message that he had to deliver was delivered. And then Maharaj Parikshit focused his mind completely on what Shukadev Goswami had spoken. And he, remembering Krishna, himself gave his life even before Takshaka burnt his body. So that means Maharaj Parikshit did go back to Godhead even before the formality of leaving his body, having it consumed in the fire created by Takshaka bird. So point is to have that chanting and remembrance by Maharaj Parikshit, to have Anukirtanam by Maharaj Parikshit in complete faith at the topmost quality. Did Shukadev Goswami continue his process of Anukirtanam and made Maharaj Parikshit here also. So as it will be clear in the subsequent verses, now this completes the one particular part, but I will just give you a brief crux of what is coming. In the subsequent verses, Shukadev Goswami stresses the quality over quantity. How one moment of full consciousness of Krishna is better than a very, very long time in which one is not fully Krishna conscious. So, and he also gives one example in the subsequent verse to Maharaj Parikshit, that Parikshit, he encourages Maharaj Parikshit that don't think you have got insufficient time. He gives him the example of Maharaj Khatwanga, who just had one muhurta it was one muhurta or one prahara. We can come to that verse, but it roughly translates to about 45 to 48 minutes of time. So Shukadev Goswami gives encouragement to Maharaj Parikshit. You have got sufficient time, my dear king. Don't worry. We would rightly utilize this time to get you ready for your death that is upcoming. And there have been earlier devotees who have perfected their lives in time that was much lesser than what you have. Specific example being Maharaj Khatwanga, who only had about one muhurta, about 45 to 48 minutes, but still he could perfect his life. So definitely it is possible. We will work it out for you also, don't worry. So coming back to this particular question, Shukadev Goswami wanted that particular remembrance and chanting by Maharaj Parikshit to be of the topmost quality. And also second reason is what Mahesh Prabhu mentioned. Maharaj Parikshit himself was eager to further hear about Krishna. Due to these two reasons, he continued his glorification further on. Is that all right, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Are we still together? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So we will conclude, and the next set of verses is just amazing. I can tell you that the second chapter, the second canto is so amazing. The type of verses that Shukadev Goswami mentions, it makes us also be very vigorous and eager to hear more and more about Krishna and perfect our life in this very lifetime. Shukadev Goswami talks about the urgency of attaining Krishna consciousness in this very lifetime itself. So that is very encouraging. So look forward to upcoming verses. Hare Krishna. Is there any question, comment, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna. So this concludes the first part of what we discussed, which is superiority of bhakti in order to answer the inquiries by Maharaj Parikshit, which was basically it covers the answer, but next part of Srimad Bhagavatam is elaborating on that answer based on two criteria. Any question, comment, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
One by one. Venkata Narasimha Prabhu.
Last class I could not be able to register the attendance. I reported
Yes.
to you.
So yeah, so Rohini Mataji, just help Venkata Narasimha Prabhu to mark his attendance for the previous session. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. And so in case such thing happens, right, Prabhuji's, Mataji, just leave it, because to be honest, I don't want that task to be an extra task. Already our admins are really handling a lot of responsibilities. So just be careful next time around, but don't be very insistent in case it doesn't happen. Okay. Hare Krishna. Vivek Sharma Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes,
Just
Prabhu.
one clarification. In this the 1.6 verse, it is said that giving a finishing touch. So this finishing touch referring to always remembering Krishna and not forgetting him, right?
Yeah,
Or something else.
finishing touch is referring to the imperfection which is still there in karmis, yogis, and jnanis, which only the pure devotees can do. Okay, so here
Right,
it is
Prabhuji.
mentioned. This is possible only by the association of a pure devotee who can give a finishing touch to the transcendental activities of all jnanis, yogis, and karmis. Like in case of Shukadev Goswami, he was a liberated personality, but was he on the platform of transcendental devotional service or Anukirtanam? No, but Vyasadev arranged for it. First, by making him hear the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, get him attracted to Krishna's qualities, and then by teaching him Srimad Bhagavatam, and he himself, Shukadev Goswami, becoming a preacher of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Right, Prabhuji. So finishing touch means Anukirtanam, right?
Finishing touch means whatever is left lacking in all these personalities before they come to the platform of pure devotional service.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, so it could mean different things for karmis. It would mean giving up the enjoying mentality. For jnanis, it would mean giving up the aspiration to achieve impersonal, merging into impersonal Brahman. For yogis, it would mean giving up the desire for achieving the yogic mystic siddhis. So all it would mean differently for different classes. Ultimately, to come to platform of pure devotional service.
Mm-hmm. Right, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna. All right. So if there is no other question, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, we will conclude here. And next week we have exam. You can cover the questions as per the handbook. Don't panic, and we have sufficient time slots that have been arranged by Rasarangini Mataji to cover different sections. When we actually start for writing, if any devotees need extra time, we can look for it case by case basis. Okay, but I believe whatever time Mataji has suggested, let's try for that to start with. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam.
Yes, ma'am. Dandas.
Prabhuji, during the class, you just mentioned during the group activity, you mentioned about some lecture where you heard about not letting the mercy leak out.
Yes.
Can we have the link of that, Prabhuji?
Okay, Mataji. I can definitely get that link, and that class is by my spiritual master. His name is Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So I will try to get that link.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Let me just see. Yeah, 1 second, Prabhuji, just P.S. Murthy Prabhu, 1 second. So this particular verse from Bhagavad Gita I had just taken for our discussion, but I couldn't mention, where Lord Krishna mentions that everything, even the recommended activities of Yajna, Dana and Tapa, if we don't do it with proper faith, then it does not bear permanent result. So basically, Shukadev Goswami, he also wanted for Maharaj Parikshit, and through Maharaj Parikshit, all of us, that our faith should be built up to that level that even then one moment or one Hare Krishna Mahamantra also is potent enough to perfect one's life. Hare Krishna. Yes, P.S. Murthy Prabhu, please.
Prabhu, I just wanted to clarify. I mean, is it necessary for us to do all 3 sections in one day, or we can split it over 2 days?
Yeah, so specifically for you, P.S. Murthy Prabhu, I have already given you concession based on your health. You see what is feasible. Okay. For others, let them attempt. If anybody has any challenge, we will look at it case by case basis. Okay.
Not to do, Prabhu, 2 sections, 1 day, and the 3rd session.
Sure. So Mataji has already given sufficient slots. You can utilize them to break it down for yourself, Prabhuji. Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we'll stop here. Vamcha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Vaishnav Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.